Ready?
Ready.
Namaskar, मैं हूं दिबांग. Welcome to Southern Rising Summit, and we have a very special guest, Mohan Naidu.
Thank you.
I have interviewed your father. I'm now lucky enough to interview you. Tell me, the big news is, the breaking news everywhere is this hoax calls to all the airlines. What have you done about it? What are you planning to do about it? It's a very serious matter.
I know the hoax calls have been happening for the past 8 to 9 days and quite frequently, and we have been seeing it in the news also. But right from the first day itself, when these hoax calls started, our Civil Aviation Ministry, in concurrence with the Home Affairs Ministry and Ministry of IT, who are the nodal ministries addressing this issue, and in fact External Affairs also, we have been sitting on top of the situation. We are trying to assess it, what exactly is happening. And one thing we have done is, from our side, Ministry of Civil Aviation, we have little bit dug deeper into the legislation that we already had, so that what best can we do to make this event stop. So one thing we felt was that if we catch hold of a person who is behind these kind of acts, then what do we do with him? So one thing we thought was, let us change the legislation a little bit, especially the aircraft security rules, so that we can put him in the no-fly list. So that is one for a beginning. And second, we have a SUASCA Act, which is the unlawful activities regarding civil aviation. And when we saw the act, it was covering these kind of offenses when they were in flight. So we wanted to extend it to on-ground flight and at airport flights also. So that is another legislation that we are proposing, and it is getting vetted by other ministerial consultations also. So I feel that these two are going to act as a deterrent when you try to find out the person who is behind this. And other than that, all the law enforcement agencies who are in this department, let it be the local police, or let it be the Home Affairs, the Intelligence, the Ministry of IT, they are all kind of taking serious cognizance of this issue. And we are keeping the situation very dynamic. Day-to-day activities we are thoroughly following up, and we are trying to improvise on the kind of response system that we have. We are learning on the way, and when we see that, and one thing that I want to tell you, one fact that I want to tell you is that all these calls that have been made are hoax calls. So we are trying to see what kind of pattern emerges and what kind of responsive system we can have, with two considerations. One is to reduce the inconvenience of the passengers and reduce the inconvenience that the aircrafts or the airports are facing. So we are keeping a very dynamic view on this situation, and we are doing what best it is, and even the Prime Minister is encouraging us to handle this situation in a very good way.
Do we have any clue on who's making these calls? Where are they making these calls from? Why are they making these calls?
This has been thoroughly asked, and media talks about some kind of conspiracy, but as a minister, I would not like to comment on it unless we investigate thoroughly and the law enforcement agencies themselves come up with an idea saying that this is what has exactly happened. So until we have the investigation finished, a person caught or some organization, if it is behind this, until that happens, I don't want to comment on this now.
Are you also going through the laws in other countries for such hoax calls? Are you aware of them? Are you working on that?
Yes, absolutely. That is why I said the Ministry of External Affairs is also involved, because some of the international airlines are also facing these kind of threats. One thing I want to ensure is that we always keep, in the Ministry of Civil Aviation, we always keep the safety and security of the passengers the topmost priority. No matter how many times we see that these are hoax calls, even if our intuition says that 99.99% of it, this is a hoax call, we have to follow the protocol. That is something which we don't want to miss. So we have enhanced the security systems, we have enhanced the surveillance measures, everything at the airports double, because there is a festive season happening, and we have seen repeated these calls also happening. So one thing is that we have improved the security at the airports, and for that we are taking in the support of all the other countries also. We are trying to see how best, because these, some of the times, they're putting these threats on Twitter. And most of the times when you follow the IP address, they come from some other countries. They can be masked also through VPN and everything. So it is important for us to talk to other countries also in these kind of situations.
Are you happy that the government doesn't own any airlines? Also, not because of these hoax calls, I'm not talking about that. Otherwise also.
I mean, to be honest, we still have one airlines with us. It is Alliance Air. We have 20 aircrafts with us, 80 are still running, and we are doing a very good job of running them in the northeast areas where connectivity is very, very important. But it's usually the perception that we have sold the Air India, so we don't have any airlines. And I'm quite okay with that idea, because as a regulator, I feel our concentration should be more on the policy making. If you are able to concentrate on the policy making, bring in right regulations, because civil aviation, we have seen stupendous amount of growth in the last 10 years, especially more than 10% in some cases, in some years. So with that kind of growth already happening and so many private players already functioning in the industry, I think our concentration should be more on how do you regulate it in a better way, how do you make the policy making much more efficient, much more robust, so that your goals, ultimate goals, can be achieved.
Okay. One thing that has been seen is that whenever there's a crisis situation, there was a cyclone recently, cartelization happens and the ticket prices really grow up, double it becomes. Are you doing something about it? Are you aware about it?
In fact, I was bombarded by these questions in the Lok Sabha sessions that have concluded in July. And I kind of agree to your point to one extent, where it is that when there is a festive season, when there is an increase in demand, or when there is some kind of alarming situation or some kind of calamity, then you generally see that the fares go up. That is again linking to the demand of the situation. And in times of these, we have tried to sensitize the airlines, and we issue a circular also. Whenever there is a calamity, we issue a circular to the airlines saying that this is a time of a natural calamity, so let us be all sensitive of the issue and let us not raise the prices. That is something which we usually do. And when it comes to the festive season, it is more a demand-driven market, civil aviation industry, especially the airfares industry. So there also we are trying to speak with the airlines in a very positive and proactive manner, kind of giving them a scenario of the middle class passenger that is aspirational today and wants to travel through air. So to kind of give that connectivity to the common man, I think we are trying to do our bit according to the law, because law doesn't permit us to put a cap on the airfares for the government. So we are utilizing the relation that we have with the airlines. We are sensitizing them for the situation. And I can say that once we started doing it in the months of July and August, and we have observed that compared to the previous years, we haven't seen so much escalation in airfares this festive season.
In a cyclone kind of situation, do you think you need to do more than just a circular? Maybe have a law that in a disaster situation, in that emergency situation, you don't at least don't raise the prices, no?
No, definitely. It's not just about issuing the circular. We ensure that the prices are also not raised. So it is taking to a logical conclusion also, and we ensure every time there is a natural calamity, and even the airlines understand that position and they also cooperate. So it is taking to a logical conclusion and ensuring that the prices don't increase, rather than just saying that we are releasing a circular.
Despite Udan, air travel is still a luxury. What is the government doing to make it accessible to the middle class, rural middle class?
If you would have said this statement 10 years back, I would have agreed, but I think things have changed a lot after especially the launching of Udan scheme, and we have successfully completed 8 years of Udan scheme. Udan is the Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik scheme, which has been a brainchild of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. And his whole idea was Hawai Chappal se Hawai Jahaj ka safar. He wanted to ensure that India is becoming more and more aspirational, and as people are getting aspirational, they want to travel through the air itself. And how should the government assist in meeting those aspirations? And that is how Udan came into play. Through Udan, we have connected the unserved and underserved airports of the country, and you would know that 74 airports in 2014, we have increased the number of airports to 157. No country in the globe has been able to achieve this kind of success in civil aviation. And we have increased the number of airports, and we have took the airport infrastructure to the remotest parts of the country. And once we have done that, the challenge for us was to how do we connect them? Because like I said, it's market-driven industry. The airlines wouldn't go where people were not willing to pay that much money, or they wouldn't get the feasibility. So Udan ensured that the viability gap funding was given. The unconnected airports or underserved airports, they were all connected through the Udan. And one best example that I can give is the Darbhanga airport. In 2020, before 2020, Darbhanga was not connected to any place. There was no airport at all, let's say that. And after RCS, the Udan scheme came into play, we have constructed the airport. We have started with just giving 2 flights there. 2 flights per week we have started giving in Darbhanga. This is 4 years back. And through successful operations of Udan scheme, now Darbhanga is operating 70 flights per week. Look at how much growth demand we could create just by the Udan scheme. So Udan has been a great catalyst in kind of giving the affordability of the prices and also enhancing the connectivity to these remote regions. So which is why I say what else do you have from the government to ensure that these kind of things continue? We see that Udan has been a great success. 8 years we have finished. We have envisioned that Udan should be there for 10 years. But after me assessing the situation for the last 4 months, I am with the idea that we have to extend Udan for 10 more years. So we are, as a government, we are going to come up with another plan where we extend the Udan scheme for 10 more years.
Talking about your father, who I interviewed and used to meet regularly when I used to be a cub reporter, he was a minister in the Devagowda and the Indra Kumar Gujral ministry in the center. Did you always want to be a politician?
No, I never wanted to be a politician. I can say that I'm an accidental politician. It's a pun intended also. After my father met with an accident and his sudden demise, that was when I came into politics. I kind of took up the legacy that he has created. He has created so much, huge amount of goodwill amongst the Telugu people, and especially in the Delhi circles and through across parties and across regions. He has such great goodwill. And I felt as a youngster, as an educated person, I should take up that mantle and I should go forward. So it was an accidental decision that I made. But one thing I stuck on to was I wanted to continue the legacy that my father has built. And his whole principles has been, if I boil it down to 2, it could be honesty and transparency. That is how he has worked overall through his career. And I felt if I had to continue that legacy, I have to hold on to those principles. And I kind of gave 100% to the decision that I took, that I want to be into politics right now. And let it be me serving my people of Srikakulam as a member of parliament, or me serving my party, Telugu Desam party, or me serving the country as an MP. So I've tried to give 100% always. And now in this new job of being a civil aviation minister, I'm committed to give my 100%.
You are the youngest member of the Modi cabinet. You're the baby of the team. Is it an advantage or a disadvantage?
Youngest member today, I was, with personal curiosity, I was checking last 50 years, 75 years of independence, if there was anyone youngest. You should correct me, or people from the audience also can correct me. I didn't find anyone younger. So you can say that I'm the youngest cabinet minister ever also. But that's just for the record's sake. But I feel it is an advantage to a certain point where there is a lot of concentration on you. You get the kind of the limelight that you need to perform, and there is a lot of enthusiasm around you when you say that you're the youngest minister. There is a lot of energy flowing into the system. When I went to the Civil Aviation Ministry taking charge, everyone, the whole team in Civil Aviation Ministry was so charged up that we have a young minister here, we have to perform, he might be coming up with new ideas. So they were so accepting. And they were also kind of adjusting to coming up with new ideas and all. So I found it to be an advantage to be a young minister, because when I was bringing out of the box ideas, they were willing to accept them. They felt that I was not carrying any baggage, or I didn't have anything behind me which was leading to kind of making a certain decision. So that was one. And also in the cabinet, I saw that the advantage of being a young minister was that everyone was willing to guide and mentor me also. Even if I was with the idea that I didn't know how to maneuver a certain issue, or how do I deal with a certain issue, there were many people who wanted to guide me, who wanted to encourage me to take the right decision. So being a young member, I would say that overall it has been an advantage for me.
Did you get any piece of advice from another charming, efficient minister, Jyoti Scindia?
Oh yeah, definitely. And he was also super excited that there was someone younger coming in after him to take charge of Civil Aviation Ministry. And one thing he has advised was that he kind of gave a brief on what he has done while he was in charge of Civil Aviation. He wanted the road to continue in that direction, so he gave a brief on how things were progressing, what the idea of civil aviation or what the vision of Honorable Prime Minister was. And he kind of gave a brief on how he functioned while he was the minister. But one good advice that he has given was that he said, don't stick with it.
Okay.
You bring what you want to bring to civil aviation. It is always what you believe or what you want to do with this. So entirely you are like the pilot now. I've taken it to a certain destination and I'm giving you the coordinates on where you want to go. But how you want to go, how you want to travel, which way you want to do, which plane you want to take, this is all entirely your decision. So that kind of freedom as a minister who has just finished his tenure and he's handing it over, I think that was a great idea to have that kind of freedom and not be shackled with some kind of restrictions. I think that was a great piece of advice he gave me.
Yeah, that's good advice. Coming back to the state, it is said that despite a strong case, liquor case against Jagan, the Naidu government is soft on him.
I don't
Probably
think
you feel that if you act, he may generate some sympathy.
I don't think there is any soft coming. Time will answer this first of all. I think we are very early into things right now, and our responsibility right now, let me get it cleared, is that we have won with a huge majority, something which I don't think any state government would have achieved in the history of Indian politics. Out of 175 assembly seats, the NDA government in the state has won 164. So imagine the kind of expectations people have on you, the responsibility people have given you. So we want to give, it is how you want to keep your priorities. So our priority today is to get the progress and development of Andhra Pradesh back on track. So all the ministers, including the chief minister, including our deputy chief minister, even the prime minister, we are kind of assessing the situation on how do we get things back on track. How do we give back to the confidence that people have given to us in the mandate through the elections? So we are kind of focusing more on the developmental activities. And while law will take its own course, all the cases which you are kind of mentioning, the investigation is going on. It is not like, see, the government has changed and we want to go for political vendetta. This is not the message that we want to give to the people. We believe in constitution, we believe in democratic principles, so we will stick by it. If we put a case or if we follow up on a case on anything, it is going to be according to the law, it is going to be according to the facts and evidence that we find. So that clarity we want to maintain. So we will take time when we address these issues.
You know, after the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, Mr. Stalin, Chandrababu Naidu also has said that have more children.
See, there is first of all no controversy in the point that Chandrababu Naidu saying that we need more children, the families should have more children. You should see that Chandrababu Naidu is a visionary. When he talks about something, he doesn't talk about it in terms of how do you win elections or what is going to happen in the next year or next 2 years. He kind of thinks for the next 20 years, 30 years, and in fact 50 years also. That has been his way of functioning, and we have seen that also. He doesn't need to prove himself in that. And when he talks about this idea of having more children, this comes with his vision of seeing the developed countries like Japan, Germany, USA, or Nordic countries, no matter which country you take in, all of them are facing the problem of aging population, which is an advantage for India right now because we are the youngest nation in the entire world right now. But how long will you have that? If you look at the numbers, South India especially, the numbers of reproduction are very, very normal. And now North, you might have a little bit higher number, but those also seem to be kind of decreasing.
Yeah.
Now you might come to a situation in the coming future, maybe it might not be immediate future, but maybe 20 years, 30 years, that we also face the problem of aging population. So it is with that sense he wants to make the people aware that if you want India to still be an advantageous country of demographic dividend over the next 30 years, 50 years, 100 years or 200 years, our strongest advantage today should continue in the future also. So he feels he needs to create more awareness around this idea. He needs to propagate that idea. He is not forcing people to do anything on this. He just wants people to understand that India has an advantage over the entire world today because we are having a young population. Let that young population continue. So that is the idea he has.
Is there a suggestion that people who have 3 children, only they will be allowed to contest the local body elections?
No, I think it's a very, I mean, just propagating idea. He would have jokingly said that, but it's nothing like that.
Yeah. Just to give you the figures, the replacement level to keep the population as it is 2.1, whereas in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana is 1.8.
Yeah.
So actually the population at this rate will go
Exactly.
down, and there would be more old people.
Exactly.
So that's what.
He, in terms of a vision, he feels that India should be always the leading country in the world. So we need young population for that. For the example, you can take other countries also which are facing the aging population. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
India should have young population. For that, we need to have more children.
Yeah. In other countries, it also include China, where will
China
be
also.
labor shortage of
That's a
150
problem right
million
now.
people.
That's a problem right now. And these are people who look at other scenarios, learn from them, and make themselves not make the same mistakes.
Yeah.
So these are those visionary leaders.
Okay. As a last question, as you do all this, do you miss your father?
I kind of miss my father in one way where I can't share the physicalness with him. Like, if, let's say, the kind of success that I've achieved today, or the situation or the place that I'm in, I would be more happy to share this success with him when he's with me. So that is something I still miss. And when I see other people or other younger generation where they're able to meet the fathers, where they're able to talk to them, get their guidance and all that, it kind of is a very emotional thing for me. But I feel whatever I've achieved is because of the blessings, and I always feel his presence around me. Like now also, you have mentioned, before I took his name, you took his name, that I've interviewed him and all that. So he's always there with me. That's what I feel. But when it comes to the physical aspect, that is when I miss him the most.
Thank you so much, Mohan Naidu.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. May I call upon Dhruba Mukherjee, Director, ABP Network, to kindly come up and felicitate Honorable Minister, Shri Ram Mohan Naidu Garu. Thank you, Dibang. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in a short while from now, we will begin with the next session